On a high, got no fear. Close my eyes and I could disappear.
It is 2021. We are still quasi in our pandemic. But here we go. We are back to in person, but we are still learning and figuring things out. So we have a new way to do our student logger, or our communication with each other, with parents, and also our referral system. So everything is now finally all in one system. It is in ASPEN, but hopefully maybe this will make things a little bit better, since we can now do attendance and grades and referrals and communication all in one place. So let's get started. So when you log into ASPEN, you want to click on students, and then you're going to find the student that you want to make a log on. From there, you're going to click on Documents, and you'll see your Journal tab. Right now, you'll see there's no journals. If you want to see if anything happened in the past, you're going to click your hourglass, your martini glass, whatever you want to refer to it as. And you can go to All Entries, and it'll let you see if there's anything previously. Nothing's been added since we didn't really use this in the past, but other schools we might have used it every once in a while, so there may be something there for you to check. Once you're in the Journal tab, then you're able to make your journal entry. So you're going to head up to Options, you're going to click Add, and now you're in this setting. So let's orient ourselves. The date, the time, because there's a star here, you're going to put your location. So wherever this took place. So, if you're just doing a quick journal entry, you can put in if it happened in the classroom, maybe you're making a phone call, you're just going to click whatever it was, click OK. In here is the most important. This is where you're going to put your description. So you really want to put clear notes in there, but do remember that anybody that has this student is going to be able to see it. So if there's any confidential information, make sure that you are leaving that part out, so that is not going out to all of the teachers. We do want detailed information, but don't put any confidential information into there. So this is the description. So if eventually this does get referred up, it is very important that you have all the information in there. So what are the restorative practices that you put in there? Did you contact home? What was the result of that? That's super important that you're going to type right in here. So this is your description. So what happened, the results, all of that good stuff. Up here, you have your type. If you attempted contact, that means maybe that didn't happen. Call, did you discuss with the student? Did you email? Is this like a kudos? Yeah, this kid's doing awesome. Did you have a conference with the parent or the student? Anything like that. Down here, what was it all about? So is it an academic concern or good thumbs up? Attendance, behavior, extracurricular. So you can kind of code it that way. Here is really important. You want to click public. So this is going to make sure that admin can see it, counselors can see it, the deans can see it, your other teachers that have the student can see it. If you don't click that, the only person, and I mean only, is you. That means even I, an assistant principal, will not be able to see your log. So not very helpful. That means it's not going to help you out in your domain because I have no clue you even made a phone call. So make sure you put public. This is going to stay with the student, but note that parents aren't going to be able to see it. So when it means public, it's not going to the student and it's not going to parents, but it is going to people that can collaborate and help support the student. So that is really important to know. So for example, if a student was absent for 2 or 3 days and you called home and you actually made contact and found out that the kiddo is sick, you definitely want to make sure you log that, so then whoever has the student like 4th period, then they don't have to call and bug the family because you've already figured out that the kid is sick and you got contact of the parent. And then another one that has an asterisk is the guardian or parent being informed. Did you contact by phone, email, or in person, or not at all? So that we know, has this parent been informed of the incident? And then once you're finished, you are going to click Save. Notice that you are not able to escalate. So whenever you have any sort of incident in the class, you do need to make a journal entry first, because it's really important that most behavior or most incidents should be handled in the classroom, and do your interventions first. And then after the issue is not resolved, or if it is not able to be handled, then you can go back to the journal and you can escalate it to the dean. So we'll take a look at how to do that now. All right, so you're going to find the journal entry that you just made, and you're going to click on the entry. And now you have your journal entry that you just made, and you want to escalate because the situation is not getting any better. So once you're inside your journal entry that you just created, you're going to head up to options. And now you're going to be able to see that there is an option that says Escalate Journal Entry. Go ahead and click that. And here, your previous entry is there. You can now add to it. So notice I can then go and what supports do I need? What supports do I want from the deans? What supports do I think that the student might need? This is where I can add any information right down here. So I need, the student needs, things like that I can add right in there. Again, I'm going to add the new date because now I'm adding on to the original log that I made. I'm going to request support for it. I have to be very clear whether or not that this is discrimination, if this is bias-based behavior, is this bullying behavior. So I have to click whether yes or no to these questions so that I can inform the deans of what kind of situation this is, because that will dictate whether or not this needs to go to Title IX for an OSPN investigation, if it's a safety and security investigation, or if it's something that we can handle right away in-house. And then right up here, again, we can switch that to discipline lead. When you do that, it'll pop up immediately onto our dean's feeds so that we see it and we're able to then evaluate the situation and make sure that we know the next steps. And then once we have all the information in there, we go ahead and we click save. And that will alert us. Now, anything that we do on our end in ASPEN, you will then get an email. So you will know as soon as something happens, you'll be alerted, and then you'll also be able to see it on your end in ASPEN as well. So you'll be able to get it in two places. You'll get an email and your CPS account, and you'll also be able to get to see it in ASPEN. Finally, the other really great thing, because last year or 2 years ago, whenever we were back in the building, one of the issues was that you could only log one student at a time. But let's say I called everybody in my class just to welcome them back to school, and I wanted to log that because that's a big deal. You can now do that as well. So if we go back to our students and we go back to our class, you can then now select, let's say I selected all the students. I'm going to go to options, and I'm going to say add multiple journal entries. So now I've clicked the kids that I want, add multiple journal entries. I'm going to click next. All the students that I picked are going to be in there, and I can do the same thing. I'm going to fill out my journal entry and say I called home for all these students, I spoke to the parents and introduced myself, and I'll finish out the log, and it'll actually create the log for all the students that I selected. And that is a quick review on how to do a journal entry and a log escalation for your students. I hope that was helpful. Please feel free to rewatch or slow it down. I know it was quick, but I hope that it will be helpful and we can have a smooth transition back into school. And while I have you, I want to remind you to make sure that you set up your gradebook correctly. When you get in, you're going to hit Gradebook and then Details. And the very first thing you want to do, and it looks like Mr. Elper is on top of it. Thank you, Mr. Elper. But when you first come in, you're going to automatically see Gradebook Default. Remember, you do not want Gradebook Default. That will destroy your grades. So if you have approval, you can have the category total points like Mr. Elper. But most people will use total points for their categories. So you're going to click total points, and then you'll click save. After that, you'll come down and you're going to set your categories. So to set your categories, you're going to add And then you'll add your category and click the plus button, and then you'll add your second category, plus button. If you want a third category, plus button, and then click save again. And you'll have your categories entered in. Make sure you do save. Now the other thing you want to do is you then need to click the arrow button, and you need to do it to the next one. So now this is where we're going to talk to Mr. Alper, because if you notice, his second one says Gradebook default. So this means he did his first one and he didn't do the rest of his classes. I'm putting you on blast. I'm sorry, Mr. Alper. So that means he needs to go in and he needs to switch this one to category points, because that's the one he's doing. I'm going to do total points just this once so everybody can see it, and I'll fix it for Mr. Alper. You're going to click save. And then you're going to go down and you're going to do your categories. So you're going to click add. You're going to put your category. So let's say you want homework. So this one usually is going to be shorter, so homework. And then here you can put the whole word, if you can spell like I cannot. And then you'll click your little button and you keep on going. Oh, he already has 2 in there. So I'm going to delete this one because I just put it in. But that is how you add a category. Does that make sense? So now, again, you're going to click your little arrow. You're going to check Gradebook default. We need to flip it over. So you want to make sure you have it in the correct one and click save. And then check your categories. So you want to make sure that you check all of your classes. And the last check that you can do is you're going to come up to your name. You're going to set your preferences. Click Gradebook. And make sure that, again, it matches. So category total points, decimal 2, district grading scale, and you're good. Once you have all those set, that means your gradebook is set up. Please remember to do that before Monday. If you have any questions or need help with that, please reach out. I am available all hours of the day and night.